Hello, welcome to my channel. Vice Rhino here, Cirrus over there, and back
Hello.
in my day, we had original games. Sorry,
For-
that's an inside joke for those of us who had access to the behind the scenes. So me, Cirrus, and my partner, who has got her noise canceling headphones on because she's trying desperately to do schoolwork while I'm being loud beside her.
Yeah, context is we were talking about the N64 and games that like how often it was that games got sequels back then. Like you got lucky sometimes. Banjo-Kazooie got a sequel. Bomberman got a few sequels that didn't play anything like the previous games for weird reasons. And then big things like Mario always got them. But now like everything's a franchise now.
Yep. Yep. Now, before we get going tonight, I did pull a clip from our live stream with Paul on Monday. So if you didn't see that, this is how Paul, in context, this is how Paul is comparing Twit tweets to his live streaming show Toast to Toast that he does.
It's not Toast to Toast, but this is even better because we're doing a rogue Twit tweet kind of thing.
So there you have it. Straight from Paul's mouth, Twit tweets is better than Toast to Toast. Oh, yeah.
Jeez.
No. He was just, it was like, it wasn't, that's not how he meant it. It was just like, you got peanut butter in my chocolate. I got chocolate in my peanut butter.
It's Toast to Twit, the Toast tweets.
Toast the Twit. Toast the tweets. Toast the twits. Toast the Twits, I think is what the guy. Someone commented like this is a mashup of Toast to Toast and Twit tweets, so it should be Toast the Twits. I think it was.
Jesus Christ. But no, look, I have running water right now, so I'm fucking excited. That's
nice.
That's where I'm at. I haven't had it for 2 weeks.
I can flush my toilet again, so I'm happy.
Look, you have no idea until your water goes out how important just being able to flush the toilet is. I have so many 2 liters that I have to refill with water because I'm on well water. As a just in case, I had a bunch of water stored up in case, bad weather happened or what have you. I had a tree fall in my yard once and it broke the power line, and that turns off your well because your well is supplied by your own power. So I've had this happen at least once before. This is the longest I've had to deal with it. Yeah. So I was like, I had almost 100 2-liter bottles of water, and I had to use every single one of them.
Oh, yeah.
Stop says, Cirrus, let Rhino know that Fempologia already exists. Oh yeah, Rhino and Pologia both knows. They both know.
Pologia gets to be the thick boy with 2 C's.
Thick librarian Pologia, which tracks, actually, given how much the dude reads.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I'm still a little bit sick. So I will be periodically muting to cough directly into the microphone.
Fair. I have to do that all the time anyway. I get you.
Yeah.
Axo says every book adds another C to that thick.
There we go. Yeah, it was catching the I guess this is a thing that people are into, the like bulge above the thigh high socks.
Oh, yes, absolutely. 110%.
Yeah, I didn't know that was a thing until I saw people making memes about how like, oh, this is a thing.
No, so I don't have it on this model specifically because of how it has to contort, but the stocking bulge, as it were, is a religion for many.
Yeah.
Thigh squish is something that is quite worshipped.
Yes, it is.
Everybody in my chat is just going, all praise thigh squish.
Slime Cirrus and the thigh squish.
Army Boy says, isn't it doomsday prep to have all that? It's not doomsday prep. It's I live on a well system prep. It's called, so the funny story.
God damn it.
What's up?
I have to say it now because I realized that I forgot to say it, but it would have been funnier in the moment. But when you were talking about getting your water fixed, I was just like, oh, does that mean your water broke?
Water broke? God.
Because I'm horrible. Dr. Don Hogue, the xenobiologist at large, said, that's downright evil. You got a sandwich in my scotch. You got scotch in my sandwich. That is a reference to one of my regular videos on the Vice Rhino channel, where I dipped my sandwich into scotch and ate it on camera. Because I don't know, I got hungry while I was recording, so I made myself a sandwich, and I was like, how can I incorporate this into the video?
And then you just dipped it.
And then I dipped it.
Yeah. And apparently it wasn't very good.
It was not, no. Well, I mean, to be fair, I was using it as the example for like a representation of evil, so it would have been, it wouldn't have been very good if it was good. I would have had to cut the bit out, and then I would have just sat there and happily dipped my sandwich in the scotch and eaten it quietly.
Quietly and sad.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, on to some articles. We got some fun stuff today. So this this comes to us from Christianity Today, which is not a source that I normally go to for my news, but this is one of those let's laugh at them crying moments, because fewer Americans than ever see pastors as ethical. And
it's almost like people are realizing that just because somebody's in a position of power, it doesn't mean they're a good person.
Yeah. In fact,
so strange.
When you have an easily accessible position of power that has like zero entry requirements and an organization that is known to protect its own, regardless of what heinous crimes they do, then people who are power hungry and tend to commit heinous crimes will be attracted to those positions.
If you, as a fun experiment, if you live in any place that has a lot of evangelicals, right? Just anyone at all. I want you to do a fun experiment. Ask yourself if you've ever heard the phrase, he wouldn't do that, he's a man of God. How often has that phrase been said, either about a parental figure or a pastor or what have you, anybody? How often has that been used as a defense mechanism there? And as soon as you realize none of you have heard this phrase for the very first time today, that's why that position can get so easily abused.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and also they still do it somewhat, but nowhere near to the same extent. They used to be in movies all the time. Putting the pastor's collar on someone was the automatic, this is a good guy character, you can trust him symbol. And yeah, as soon as all the reports and everything started coming out, it was just like, I no longer think that. When I see the collar, I'm now like, no, you need to turn around and run the other way.
Yep, you see the collar and immediately you go, well, I'm going to steer clear of this, buddy.
Yeah. So now we do get a bonus tweet with this article, because I saw it's written by Kate Shellnut January. And I was like, what the fuck kind of name is Shellnut January?
Shellnut January. That sounds like a bad holiday.
So turns out January is not actually part of her name. That's just like a glitch in Pocket's, the way it like pulled it from the website. So whatever. Her name is just Kate Shellnut. But the first thing that came up when I where are we? I think it's this one. There we go. First thing that came up when I Googled her was this tweet. Apparently there's a Bible study that is following along with Taylor Swift's Eras tour. So it's Tuesdays with Taylor, and it uses the lyrics in some of her songs to study the Bible. And then the example she gave is, I guess there's a lyric, I'll never let you go because I know this is a fight that someday we're going to win. Which I am not a Swiftie, so I was not familiar with this before, but I've now listened to that song, and it actually was quite nice. I enjoyed it. And it was a political statement that she wrote around, I think it was 2019 that she wrote it. And it was she basically framed the situation between the United States and its population, the sane population, as like a relationship where you really, really love someone, but they're doing crazy, stupid stuff that is jeopardizing everything, and you really hope that they stop.
So you love your country,
yeah,
but your country can't stop fucking up.
Yeah, that's kind of the gist of the song. And I kind of liked that. I was like, okay, yeah, I see it. You know, it's not the, like, it's not like high art, but it's better than I could do. But anyway, I kind of laughed at this though, because they took that and they were like, oh, that reminds me of this verse where like, don't be scared, don't be afraid, don't panic or be terrified by them. The Lord your God is going with you. He'll fight for you. He'll help you win the battle over your enemies. Deuteronomy 20, Deuteronomy chapter 20, verses 3 and 4. Cyrus, do you know offhand what is contained in Deuteronomy chapter 20?
Isn't this mostly about the Canaanites at this point?
Yes, but specifically Deuteronomy 20 is the it's the chapter that outlines the rules of war and how Israel is to behave during war. Not specific to the Canaanites, but like, this is how you treat cities that are near you. This is how you treat cities that are far away from you. It's the one that says if they're close to you, you genocide them all, and if they're far away from you, you enslave them.
That's
So it's like,
that's cute.
That's the Bible verse that Taylor Swift reminded them of.
God,
I bet you they didn't study outside of verses 3 and 4 for that one, because you don't have to go far.
Then you get the context.
Yeah, you don't have to go far in chapter 20 to get to some really nasty shit.
This reminds me of two things I used to do as a Christian. So I liked secular music when I was a Christian because, it's actually good. So I used to do that thing where I would listen to music and I would try to take the lyrics that I was listening to and pertain them to the Bible, because I grew up in PCA. So I had to like internally justify the things I was listening to.
All the love songs are about Jesus.
I had to make them make sense in a Christian way so that I didn't feel guilty about them being the things I was primarily listening to. And there was an event. All the Sonic the Hedgehog fans in my audience are going to laugh their asses off at this. There's an event that happened. So I owned the Sonic Adventure 2 soundtrack as a kid. Mm-hmm. I had the CD and I popped it into the car radio when we were on the way to school because I listened to it on repeat. I still do as an adult. I've grown so much, don't you know? But Eggman's theme song has a particular lyric in it, which is not true to his character, really, but he wanted to understand the mysteries of life. That's a lyric in pertaining to Dr. Eggman for Sonic.
Okay.
If you've played Sonic, you know that he's just fucking evil. But so I heard that lyric, and my mom on cue goes, if he wanted to understand the mysteries of life, he could have just read the Bible.
Oh.
So this just brought that memory up to the forefront, Rhino.
Oh God. Okay. So anyway, back to the Christian Post. So Americans have a harder time trusting anyone these days, including pastors. So the country's perception of clergy hit a new low in a recent Gallup poll, with fewer than a third of Americans rating clergy as highly honest and ethical, which is significantly lower than the number of Christians that rate themselves as Christian, or Americans that rate themselves as Christian, which seems kind of weird that, like, I feel like that would create some cognitive dissonance for me. Like if I actually had to fill out the survey and write it down, be like, you know what? I actually don't trust religious leaders of the religion that I claim to be. Why am I that religion? You gotta remember though, for a lot of these Christians, they don't see they see their religion as divorced from the place in which they worship, because a lot of times they don't see it as a religion, they see it as a relationship. Yeah, no, we get to that in the article where like most Christians trust their pastor. It's the other pastors they don't trust.
Because this feels very Steven Anderson. Or Pastor Greg Locke. You can trust the things I say, but those other people who say the exact same things, don't trust them. They're Jezebites or something.
Yeah. This is a bit concerning though. Like as an overall trend, people are more likely to believe in the moral standards held by nurses, police officers, and chiropractors than their religious leaders.
So a profession that has a high rate of abusing their own wives. A profession that is based off of...
Definitely don't Google 40% of police officers.
A profession that was started literally, at least in America, that was started literally because a guy thought he had ghosts tell him to manipulate people's spines.
Oh.
Yeah, okay.
You're going for the chiropractors. I thought you were going to go and talk about how the American model of policing basically began as an offshoot of the KKK.
Well, yeah, because it was the people who rounded up slaves.
Yeah,
was how our police force.
So
began.
when you said a ghost, I'm like, yeah, they do dress like ghosts. No. It was like, no, you're talking about the magical spine juices. Okay,
I'm talking about the magical spine juices.
God damn,
too
much overlap here, man.
Remember, the police don't actually have your best interests at heart, and the chiropractors 90% of the time don't actually know what the fuck they're talking about. They can help you with a pinched nerve. They're not going to actually cure your fucking sciatica.
And don't ever take a baby to a chiropractor.
No, definitely do not.
Because that is a thing that people do sometimes.
That is a thing that can damage somebody for life.
And it has. It can kill. Especially kids and babies.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry to bring it down with dead babies, but...
It's not. You're not bringing anything down with dead babies. I'm sure that everybody's made a dead baby joke or 5.
That might be a product of the 90s. Do the kids still make dead baby jokes?
I'm sure the kids are still stupid and edgy like we were. Probably.
Like, how many dead babies does it take to paint a wall? Depends how hard you throw them.
I was like, it's gonna go there, isn't it? Yep, it went there.
That's the only one that I remember. That's the only one that I remember. But there were a lot of them.
The one I remember most is, what's the difference between a pile of dead babies and a Ferrari? I don't have a Ferrari in my garage.
Well, I mean, we're atheists, so that's just to be expected.
That's just breakfast.
That's just, I just did my grocery shopping.
It's that moment in Has Been Hotel where Vaggie walks in on Alistair eating breakfast. That's us, except instead of a deer, it's babies.
Yeah, so over the past 4 years, trust in pastors have dropped from 40% to 32%, which corresponds with more skepticism towards all professions and institutions across the board, because almost all of them experienced a drop.
Yeah. There's only so many times you can hear your doctor tell you need a $20,000 medication before you start to feel a little weird about it.
Well, yeah, and you got to also keep in mind that this I believe this was a 2022 poll. 2023 poll, but it's looking at the change in between 2019 to 2023. So you got to keep in mind that that's also, like, it's got the pandemic in there.
That's
so,
fair.
This is the actual chart.
So this would be
you get a bunch of
the people going, I don't trust doctors because they told me I got the COVID. That doesn't exist.
Yeah, like you get the people who follow everything that Trump says, and Trump gets up there and says, shine light up your ass and drink bleach. Doctors don't know what they're talking about. And you get people not trusting doctors as much.
Yeah.
But this also kind of correlates with less than half Americans now belong to a church, even if they do still call themselves Christian, and the nuns are growing. That's us.
I'm gonna be honest. I am more comfortable because of the things that I've heard from pastors here specifically. I am more comfortable with being around Christians who don't generally go to church, because this is the area, as an example, my ex-roommate, the pastor at his family's church, went on a tirade about how it was okay for the Israelites to kill the Canaanites' babies because they would have grown up to be filthy pagans and would have gone to hell. And he then said that applies even today. It's better for pagan babies to be killed. And just he texted me when that happened and was like, so this is a thing my pastor's saying.
And that's
gross.
Like he was saying that, like, if they die as babies, then they go straight to heaven. Was that the idea? Yeah. So
that's the idea.
So he was pro-abortion then, right?
No.
Oh, funny how they're not consistent there.
I don't expect consistency from them, but like that's it. It's I know that that's the kind of stuff that can come out of pastors' mouths here in the Georgia South,
Yep.
which is consistent with the fact that we are the place where the third resurgence of the KKK happened. That was at Stone Mountain. So just a little bit of history of good old Georgia.
Yeah.
We have Marjorie Taylor Greene for a reason.
Yeah. Dr. Don says Psalm 137:9 intensifies. That is the one about
The dash of the babies.
That's the one about painting rocks with dead babies.
Yep. Happy is he who throws the babies' heads on the rocks, which
Yeah.
oh wait, no, it was blessed is he, which meant happy back then.
So I was thinking like when I made the dead baby joke, I was like, oh, is it crossing a line to do that? And it's like, no, they like Christians literally have a book that tells them that people are happy about throwing babies against the rock. And the justification for that one, I don't know if you've ever seen that, is that it wasn't a command from God to do that. This was a song that was written while they were in captivity. So this was them like fantasizing about what they wanted to do to their captors.
So why did they want to kill their captors' children? Why is that where they went?
Well, because they're just fantasizing about getting them back for putting them in captivity. So it's basically it's justification of a dead baby joke, essentially.
I don't know. I can think of people that I legitimately would consider my enemies based on the things they have said in my comment section. And I can't imagine wanting to harm their children.
Into super chat, so thank you, Dr. Don.
Like I can't imagine their children needing to be victims as part of my grand plan.
Yeah, no. If anything, I think of children as victims because they still have to live with their parents.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So then this executive director for the Institute for Transformational Leadership at North Greenville University says, as American culture becomes increasingly pluralistic and post-Christian, we can't assume that Americans in general default to a positive view of clergy. That's kind of what I was getting at earlier with, like, you can't just slap a collar on a character in a movie and have everybody assume he's the good guy anymore.
I feel like having better clergy that did less shitty things should have happened before the American populace started turning against them.
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe
I feel like they have good reason to turn against them.
Yeah.
I say ministers must work harder to gain public trust than was the case even a generation ago. Yeah, that's because we've probably 2 generations now at least. Like when did what's her name? I'm blanking on her name. Irish singer.
What is she known for?
Irish singer. She ripped up a picture of the Pope on live TV and got booed off the stage.
Oh, I have no idea.
Oh, God damn it.
Sarah says O'Connor. Sinead O'Connor?
Sinead O'Connor, yes, that's the one.
Okay.
Yeah. So she knew in the 90s. And that was why she did that. And she basically ruined her career to make that point, because at the time everybody was like, no, you can't just say bad things about religious leaders because they're men of God. Yeah, she knew back then. The information was available back then, and that was like 90s. But how many generations have there been since the 90s? So like you and I are 90s kids, and then there's the Gen Z. What's the order go?
There's Gen X, then Millennials,
Gen X, then Millennial,
then Gen Z.
Gen Z, and then the Zoomers. No, Zoomer is Gen Z.
Zoomer is Gen Z. And
Alpha.
then, yeah.
So it's 3 generations now. So for 3 generations now, this information has been available. It was probably available before that, if you bothered to look for it. But give a bit of a pass because the advent of the internet made it easier to find.
Early 2000s is when I started seeing more jokes about pedophilic pastors in media.
That's the date that they come up to in here as well. But I'm saying that before it became more commonly accepted, the information was still there. So this is at least 3 generations. So yeah, there's good reason for it to be on the decline.
Yeah.
And then they pointed out how scandals like clergy sex abuse, growing political polarization, and evangelicals' countercultural moral positions. So that's, we don't like gay people. We don't like them gay and trans people. Like, okay, then the gay and trans people ain't gonna like you. And hate to break it to you, but like, the younger generations are way more accepting of gay and trans people. So if you're gonna die on that hill, you will die on that hill.
Jeez. It's
Sorry.
on the bright side, though, it is heartening to know that trust in clergy is waning, because it's not like the pastors have gotten better.
Yeah.
In fact, there's arguments that can be made that they've gotten a little worse, because like about 10 years ago or so, Westboro Baptist Church was the meme.
Yeah.
That you would point to it like, this is what a bigoted church looks like. But then you look at the NIFB and they're about 2 or 3 shades worse, and they're bigger.
And they're significantly bigger, yeah.
They're in multiple countries. I mean, hell, Steven Anderson's banned in 34 of them. Look up Steven Anderson Rule 34 if you want to know more of that.
Yes, definitely look that up, but a lot of those bans have expired and not been renewed.
But he still was banned in those countries. Like, that's not an incorrect statement.
Yeah. But yeah, so especially among those who have had either bad church experiences or whose worldview assumptions are already at odds with historic Christian beliefs, that's something that's going to contribute to them not trusting clergy. So like, yeah, if you are gay or you know someone who is gay and you are fine with that and you recognize that there's nothing wrong with being gay, and you recognize that there's a bunch of scientific research saying that there's nothing wrong with being gay, and in fact trying to make gay people not be gay is actually really, really harmful, and same goes, all of those same things go equally similar for trans people. And then the church is like, yeah, no, God hates gay people. Or well, they won't say God hates gay people. It's like being gay is a sin. God loves the person, but they're not supposed to act on the sin. And for some reason, that sin is the one that they got to fixate on instead of something like divorce.
It's because they're very busy thinking about dudes' dicks. They're not gay, but they focus on it a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, when you get people that are just trying to live their lives and then an organization that says, no, you're not allowed, and they're going to be like, okay, I don't trust people in your organization anymore.
Yeah.
And then we got the, damn it, you're not making Christianity better, you're just making rock and roll worse. That's the King of the Hill reference, if I'm not mistaken.
You're not making Christianity better, you're making rock and roll worse.
Yep. About that. The most dramatic decline in clergy trust came around the crisis of sex abuse by Catholic priests in the early 2000s, when positive ratings fell from 64% to 52%. Yep, that tracks.
That tracks with when we started seeing that shift in media, too.
Yeah. Now, one of the things they don't mention on Christianity Today, because I'm pretty sure that they have evangelical leanings, so they're probably anti-Catholic unless they need them to bolster their numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So what they don't mention is that the sex abuse scandals, it's been pretty well discovered that, like, name a denomination and they have a sex abuse scandal.
That's actually why the NIFB and the IFB split publicly. The NIFB was formed due to sex abuse scandals that were happening in the IFB. For people who don't know, that's the Independent Fundamental Baptist Church, so the ones who bankrolled Plant School Christian Academy. And
so what's really remarkable in my brain now is that even now that you've said that, I'm like, did they split off because they wanted to continue the abuse and the IFB was going to call them out, or was the IFB committing the abuse and they left to leave the abuse? So I'm like,
I'd say
it could go either way.
Column B. Publicly leaving so that they can distance themselves from the abuse and say that they're different, and then still just continue the same abuse. Because you can't tell me that with all the vitriol those pastors shit out on a daily basis, that there's not some just absolutely disgusting shit happening behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Especially with how small some of those congregations are.
Yeah. No, yeah, and we've heard some of the recordings of Matt Powell abusing his followers.
Yep, the abusive cupcake.
So, like, yeah, I don't see his marriage not containing similar situations, unfortunately.
Yeah. Also, I was just notified my mic messed up. Yeah, I accidentally hit the pad on my Focusrite. Sorry, I fixed it now.
So this next sentence actually kind of confuses me. It says Gallup found that white, high-income, and college-educated Americans thought the best of pastors. What?
So that actually kind of tracks. So those are the people who are also statistically most likely to believe in authority figures in general. Like that will track with that side of things as well. They already think that authority figures can do no wrong. They're in a privileged position not to be negatively affected by those authority figures. So that would track with the pastors as well.
Yeah, but on the flip side of that, that's also the demographic that's least likely to be religious.
True, but not all of this is a straight Venn diagram.
Yeah. Okay. Fair point. Yeah, there's a bit more stuff that kind of tracks, but has a couple of kind of moments. Like elder millennials and Gen X were most cynical. Fewer than a quarter of people between 35 and 54 had a positive view of clergy ethics, compared to 38% of older Americans and 30% of those under 35. So yeah. Older millennials like me and Gen Xers really don't trust clergy. My age group in particular, less than 25% of us trust clergy. So yeah, we all got the, we're the ones who were old enough to have really understood the magnitude of the situation when the sex abuse stuff was coming out.
Well, especially because for y'all, and to a lesser extent me, because I'm a decent few years younger than you, but
yeah,
for y'all, it was a whiplash effect. Y'all got the growing up in the trusting society and then having that ripped away while you were still in formative years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then you get the older people who are old and stuck in their ways, and that's the way it's always gone, is that the older people tend to be more religious. But the actually, what you just said, I think it might explain why the younger generation has a bit of a more favorable view than millennials.
They didn't grow up with the slingshot effect.
Yeah. So they didn't grow up hearing that all these preachers were good guys. They grow up hearing that all these preachers are bad guys, and then they meet one who seems like a good guy.
Yeah, usually it's like a youth pastor, and then they'll go from there.
Yeah.
Naki Bree says slingshot effect. So a slingshot effect is when you have think of yourself pulling back a slingshot. That's your current state of being. And then when you let go, all that kinetic energy comes out. That's where you are forward afterwards. It's hard to come back from that. Yeah. A lot of sci-fi will use this to have a spaceship slingshot around a planet using its gravity. If we're talking about something like this, the pulling back is the state that you were in when you were nice, comfy, nestled. Oh, the pastor was definitely a good guy. And then that releasing of the kinetic energy is when that worldview shatters. It's very hard to go back after that.
When you said sci-fi, yes, I know the slingshot maneuver around the sun to travel through time or whatever, and go back and save the whales. But as soon as you said sci-fi, my first thought was it's going to be oh, this is how the villains have their arc, is everything was fine, and then the thing happened that turned them into a villain, whether a child died or something.
It popped in my mind mainly because I've been reading the Halo books with my partner, and one of the they do not have the ability to fight the Covenant spaceships in the Halo universe in the beginning because it's just the technology gap is too wide. They have plasma shields on the Covenant spaceships, and we've got United States Federation ships that just don't have that kind of tech. And when you try to fire nukes at the ships, they just shoot them out of the air with lasers. It doesn't do anything. So what they started doing was they would fire a nuke around a planet so that it would slingshot into the enemy while the ship in the front was distracting them. And the nuke would have a tracking warhead, and the Covenant had no idea that this is shit that the humans would do. To be fair, the humans didn't know they were going to have to fucking slingshot nukes around the planet, but it's how the humans get their first actual victories against the Covenant in space battles in the Halo universe. Yes, it's the Cole Protocol.
Yeah. Neuromna is pointing out gravitational assists are really common in rocket science, I think. Yeah, but don't call them boring things like gravitational assists. What is this, Kerbal Space Program?
Yeah, we call it things like the Cole Protocol, or there's also another one where it's called the Keys Maneuver, where I forget what the specific thing with the keys maneuver was, but there's another maneuver named that.
Wampa77 in my Twitch chat is said that it's the keys maneuver. It's got a million names. It's the same thing. You use the gravity of something to change your velocity in one way or another. So yeah. Now, this is where we get to nearly 2/3 of Americans have a very positive opinion of a pastor they have a personal connection with, compared to a quarter who said the same about pastors in general. So that's the, like, yeah, no, I don't trust pastors, but, like, my pastor's a good guy.
Mm-hmm. I don't trust them in general, but...
Yeah. And that's actually kind of, like, that's, and I,
right.
like, this is an effect that goes both ways, because this is, like, one of the reasons why people are becoming more accepting of LGBTQ people is that there are more LGBTQ people that are out. And so when you interact with them on a regular basis and you recognize that they're just normal people, like for me, when I was a Christian who was anti-LGBTQ, thank you, I ended up working in a restaurant where the pastry chef was gay. And I had to work with him. And, you know, we're at work together. We chat sometimes. He was a good guy. Got to know him a bit. We were never friends that would hang out outside of work, but, like, we were on good terms. But
he humanizes them to you.
Yeah, so it's like how do I square this with the I'm supposed to not like the gay thing, but, like, I don't care who he has sex with. I'm not having sex with him, so what does it matter?
I also the correction that was from your chat. The slingshot thing is the keys maneuver. The Cole protocol was the make sure the Covenant don't find Earth. Anytime the Covenant is about to capture a ship, you have to blow it up so the navigation data doesn't get in their hands so that they can't find Earth. That was the Cole protocol.
Yeah. Oop. Muthicus. I clicked on that accidentally, but there you go. You're live and featured now.
They caught a live one, and you caught their chat, so you caught a live one.
Oh,
y'all caught each other.
It's so exciting. I don't know whether it was my browser that updated or whether YouTube updated or something or whatnot. But, like, you know how I had that issue where every time I clicked to highlight a chat message, it would right click even though I'm left clicking. It doesn't do that anymore, and it's amazing.
That's cool. I spent the first 20 minutes of my chat with YouTube chat just not working.
Oh, that's fun.
I had to reset my stream because whatever update they did recently fucked everything.
You know I don't get to say this often, but Cirrus, that sounds like a skill issue.
Sorry, I had to forget which way I had to turn my head to do that.
Oh, I thought you were, like, trying to remember which shortcut it was. Like, crazy shortcuts like Alt-Shift-9 or something like that.
Oh, for, like, my facial expressions?
Yeah.
Oh no, I don't have to press anything for this. I can just squint at you.
Okay, fair enough. So then, yeah, they're bemoaning the fact that you know, that even this, where, like, you trust your own pastor, even that can cause trust to be eroded at the local church level, because then, like, if you see a dispute within the church, you're now going to lose trust in your own pastor. And this is according to David Fletcher, founder of X-Pastor, a website dedicated to pastor-themed pornography.
You know, I thought that this was going to be a website about people who used to be part of the clergy that people would mistake as a porn website.
Yeah, no, well, that's the thing. I when I saw this, I was like, okay, X-Pastor. First thing that popped in my head is it's just like nun porn, but it's pastors.
Yeah.
So it's a website dedicated just for that. Like X-Hamster. Well, I guess X-Hamster doesn't focus on hamsters, does it? That would be weird.
We only talk about gerbling.
Yeah, but I'm like, it's a porn site for a pastor fetish. Okay, fine, whatever. Or maybe it's an organization that helps former pastors. You know, like the
Clergy Project.
Yeah, like the Clergy Project. Maybe it's something like that because they're ex-pastors. And I was like, or maybe it's a porn site where all the performers used to be clergy. And this is what they do for a living now.
I once had God inside of me. Now I have many men.
Yeah, exactly. Well, like, I could see that being like a slingshot effect. I spent my entire life repressed, and now I want to let it all loose and share it with the world. So like I could see something like that happening where it's like, nope, it's a resource for executive pastors. They just don't recognize that that's a really bad name. But I actually I kind of want to do this because on this website, which looks like a fucking scam website, like that is not, it doesn't scale very well, so I can't zoom in or out. But like, yeah, it does.
Oh, Jesus Christ! Why is there so many weird ads everywhere?
Yeah, no, it's all their own shit. But like, this looks like a fucking scam. But they have they have the salary forecaster, which is free. Apparently, it's got a value of $150. But so I don't know if this is actual data or if this is just a dummy spreadsheet that they filled out to give you an example. But if you provide your church's financial data to them, they will then provide you with all the financial data from all the other churches that they have collected.
But that just means if you spoof it.
It's anonymized, so you don't get to see which church is paying what. But like, I like the idea of having access to all these churches' financial data, but the problem is I'd have to fake it in order to get it, and the act of faking it in order to get it means that it's easy to fake, so how much of it is actually real? And Wamp is asking, is this the site y'all were talking about with Apologia the other day? Yes, it is.
Yeah.
This is it. Yeah. So changes in societal views can influence church members and leaders beneath the surface. Like it's like a tide carrying us along for quite some time before we realize we have moved. So, yeah, tides go in, tides go out. No one can explain that. Except, yes, we can explain
that. Meme needs to die.
It does, but
you can't explain that, but a scientist can.
Yeah, but no, but this is the thing that, like, this is the church fighting tooth and nail about the fact that society is progressing without them. If they don't catch up with it, they will die out. That's just how it's going to work. And they're realizing this, but they're taking the wrong lessons from it. But anyway, they point out that the Bible says that pastors are supposed to have a good reputation with the outside world. Like 1 Timothy 3:7 says elders need to have a good reputation with outsiders. 1 Peter 2:12 says Christians should live good lives so that those outside the church notice their good deeds. Yelling about gay people and how much you hate them, that's not a good deed. The outsiders aren't going to look at that and say they're leading a good life.
They feel as though it is, though, and it's like I've started to come with a new mantra for myself when I see shit in my comment section that's just toxic as hell. Nobody that is truly happy is doing that kind of shit. Nobody who's truly happy is going onto the side of the sidewalk and screaming about gay people. Nobody who's truly happy is going into your comment section and trying to make you feel like shit. Like, nobody who's actually satisfied in their own life is doing this shit.
Yeah. No. I can't imagine focusing that much hate on someone for something that has nothing to do with you.
I can't either. I really can't. Actually, speaking of that, I made a tweet today. I know, weird, shocker, but I made a tweet today about...
Sorry, when you say I made a tweet today, remember, I do have young children in my house again, so now I pictured you saying that in the same way that they would be like, I made a poop today. And it's kind of similar. Kind of similar results there. It's a big old steaming pile of something.
But I made a tweet about how a common refrain for conservatives is they'll say that, you couldn't make a movie like Blazing Saddles today. And I just thought about a lot of the media I've watched that is recent media that uses all of the same styles of shock humor. Like, Has Been Hotel does, The Boys does. And I just posted them like, these types of shock. What's up?
I was going to say those stupid shows that were, there's like 3 shows that were made by the same guy that just couldn't get over himself. That like what was it? Paradise PD is one of them. It wasn't the original one.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I started watching it, and I actually started watching two of their shows, not knowing that it was just done by the same people. And so I was just like, oh, is this a sad state of what adult animation has become? Because it's just like, I said dick, that's funny. Ha ha ha. This guy had his dick chopped off in an accident. Ha ha ha, that's funny. Oh, this person did a gross thing that you're not allowed to do on TV normally, but they did it on TV.
Anyway.
Ah! And it's just like, okay, no, this is... I wouldn't have even found this funny when I was a stupid teenager.
But like my thing was this type of shock humor.
Brickleberry. Was Brickleberry the futuristic one? Because there was the Forest Rangers one, the police one, and then the futuristic fantasy one, that they were all the same show. But I didn't know that it was written by the same people that were just pathetic. I thought it was like, that's just what people think comedy is now, and I was disappointed, honestly.
But like we have so much of that stuff that still goes around today that just goes, what are people offended by today? Let me say that thing and put it on TV. I'm not supposed to do it on TV, but here I am doing it on TV. It's a thing that comedians do all the time. It's a thing that movies do all the time. It's a thing that TV shows do all the time. And I just said, like,
we got all the titles now. Is Brickleberry was the Park Rangers one. Fazbar was space. I don't think it was Fazbar. It's something Farzar, I think it might have been. I don't know. Whatever. It was forgettable.
And then one person commented, this sounds like something someone would say if they hadn't seen Blazing Saddles. So I just went, okay, which part am I supposed to not be able to recreate today? The copious use of the N-word, the part where they're eating beans in the forest and farting a bunch, like the part where the dude gets bricked over the head with a shovel. Like which part of that movie am I supposed to pretend we can't do?
Well, the white supremacists in New York accidentally recreated the somebody go back for a dime scene.
So after I was like actually naming scenes from the movie to them, they went, but Blazing Saddles is a classic and Has Been Hotel sucks. And I just went, oh, that's why this person who doesn't follow me and doesn't engage with anything I've ever said is commenting on this. They did a search bar thing for somebody saying Has Been Hotel and decided to come in and do the hater thing. And I see those types of people the same way as I see the pastors who yell on the sides of the road. These aren't happy people. These are sad people who need your anger to fuel them.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, evangelical leaders agreed certain church stances and doctrines may cause pastors to lose credibility in today's culture. You think? But that pastors should take their character and public witness seriously. So they seem to be like under the impression that like they're saying many pastors have been found to be bullies and hypocrites, alcohol abusers and womanizers. The crisis of credibility is a symptom. The misuse of authority is the root cause. So like you're close. You're so close. It's like, I don't know. And then of course they're advertising the workshop from ex-pastor. Do you imagine that like your church is in the middle of a sex abuse scandal, so the pastor gets up and says, I'm going to take a workshop from ex-pastor. Go to xpastor.com. Stream me some videos.
I'm going to expose the woke left here. And he's just exposing himself.
That's what I call my left testicle. It's the woke left. Oh, God. Need to expose it.
I call it woke because the other one is broke.
Oh, I say it's within the power of church leaders to rebuild at least some of the trust if we respond faithfully to our own moral failures. You know how you could do that? You could, like, maybe not fight against legislation that would make priests mandatory reporters when they find out about sexual abuse. Not spend a bunch of money defending sexual predators.
Not spend $4,000 a day so you don't have to release the names of known abusers in your church. Jehovah's Witnesses. Not shuffle your clergy over to Chile whenever they get found out for bad shit here. Catholic Church. There's a lot of ways you can do it.
Yeah, not ignore the abuse victims and pray for absolution for the abuser when the abuse victim is standing right there. Like that one
like
video?
when they, or in the situations where they're like, well, you didn't have two witnesses,
Oh,
so.
God. Or to go back to, I forget whether it's the JWs or the Mormons, but the ones that, like, if you get caught using porn, you have to have like a one-on-one session with the elders where they ask you to describe everything in great detail.
It's so that they can look it up later. Let's be honest.
It's also so that you can get used to discussing intimate sexual details with an old man in a position of authority, so that when stuff starts to turn sexual, you're not going to report them because that's just a normal thing for you now.
So tell me, Rhino, exactly which yoga position was she in when the 12th dick went in her throat? That's very interesting. You're going straight to hell.
Yeah. Yeah, anyway, that's it for this one. Sorry that it sucked. But yeah, it's good news that we don't trust clergy anymore, because they don't deserve it. Like,
yeah,
you put on the collar, and we don't trust you. You have to prove to us that you are trustworthy before you get even the base level of trust.
You can't say put on the collar after talking about ex-pastor, Rhino. You can't.
They use condoms that have the little collar at the base. Or right beneath the head of the penis, it's got the little collar.
Did you know that my dick is ordained?
Do you want to confess your sins to my dick?
I'll let the Holy Ghost wash all over you.
Give it a full-throated confession, my child. Oh, shouldn't have said my child. Ugh. My 18-year-old or above child, because this is a legitimate porn website, not actual church activities. Ugh. Okay. Moving on to the Church of Satan. No, Satanic Temple. They're different things. Minister of the Satanic Temple has best response to proposed Iowa bill. So a clip of, yeah. So in Iowa, there's a bill that they're proposing that would allow ministers of any religion to become counselors in schools. And they don't have to have a license. They don't have to have any qualifications. They just have to pass a simple background check. Which, granted, that's more than they have to do to become a pastor. But that's a lot less than an actual counselor would have to do. So that's the bill. And you know what?
Why do we need church leaders serving in our schools? Well, why is that necessary?
Yeah, well, I say let's not. Oh, God damn it! Did I forget to add it? I have the video, but I never put it in. So let's watch the video. But first, you have to watch me figure out how to add the video. Browse or Satanic Temple. Down. And
I am a minister of Satan for the Satanic Temple.
Everybody could hear that except for you.
I am a minister of Satan for the Satanic Temple.
Stop. God damn it. Everybody spam Doritos in the chat.
Oh, dear.
No, not properties. God damn it. I know how to do this. I'm a professional. Monitor and output. There we go. There we go.
You did it.
Yeah.
I am a minister of Satan for the Satanic Temple. I personally opposed Bill HF 2073 because I believe in the separation of church and state. But if the bill does pass, I'm excited for the opportunities it presents for the Satanic Temple to provide support, services, and programs to school children in our state. Iowa has several ordained ministers of Satan, and we would be happy to engage children.
Yeah, okay. So if you're going to have ministers preaching in the church, if it's going to be a Oh, Fennec just learned that there's a Dorito emoji. Yeah, were you not in my? It was that was a big thing on one of my streams. Oh yeah, no, that was before I started streaming regularly. I set up the 24-hour stream just to like push my Twitch thing into affiliate land to say that I had streamed for the requisite number of hours. And every time the stream started buffering, there was like one or two people in the chat that just like I guess they accidentally used a Dorito emoji and then it started working right away.
So now that's the tech support emoji.
Yeah, well, I mean, I have an actual tech support emoji. Neuromput's used it
This
here.
is the real one now.
Yeah, but the Dorito emoji is the one that happened before I got my own emojis. But
That's wonderful.
Yeah, so the okay, we don't really need to read what he said because we just heard what he said. But the chaplain will act similarly to that of a school counselor, but the bill does not define what a chaplain is, and it doesn't require chaplains to have a license, endorsement, certification, authorization, or statement of recognition issued by the Board of Education examiners. Oh, sorry, I forgot to mention that this was sent to me by Owen. Owen sent it to my Gmail account, which I'm not sure how people keep getting that account. Like, I don't act to keep it secret, but neither do I post it anywhere for people to email me there. But somehow, every now and then, somebody just finds that email address and sends me an email. So yeah, if you're emailing news items that you want to see on the show, send it to news@vicerauno.com. And if we use it on the show, then you have our personal guarantee that Cirrus will come to your house and fix your well. Even if you don't have one, he will fix it.
I refuse.
Nope, you're doing it.
I refuse.
No. I already promised it. It's legal. It's legally binding now. You have to do it.
You made the promise, not me.
Too late. Legally binding.
But that's not how that works.
I think it is.
That's not how any of this works.
Yeah. Fennec says, Cirrus owes me a lot of well repairs then. Yeah. Fennec is definitely my top news sender at the moment. It's at news@vicerauno.com. Lord of Uzkalak says, is this the email on your YouTube profile? No, it's not. I changed that. Unless it's the email on my watering hole YouTube profile. That might be a thing. Okay.
He's got a version that's just straight up from an older. It's just like an Internet Archive version.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm not sure if I changed it on the watering hole channel, because the watering hole is kind of my neglected stepchild of a channel.
Neglected stepchild of the channel that you keep going back to and using.
Oh, God damn it. You're not supposed to call me out like that. No, I didn't steal that joke from Eli Bosnick. I completely made that up all on my own. I never would have borrowed a humor style from Eli Bosnick. That's definitely not a thing that he does regularly when people send them news items.
Specifically him. Specifically named.
Yes. I don't even know who Eli Bosnick is. Like, you said Eli before I said Eli.
you made up the name. Jesus Christ. Dina says, are you bad at Minecraft? Absolutely.
So, in my defense for stealing Eli's joke format there, I have been resisting that for, like, since I set up the email address. I was like, no, I can't just rip off his joke format. And then today I couldn't resist, so I just did it.
He was weak, is what
I mean,
saying.
No, I didn't steal Eli's format. It's mine. That's original.
Original humor, do not steal.
Okay. Yeah, so the bill states that the chaplain can be from any denomination, which I assume in legalese speak would mean any denomination of any religion, because otherwise that's...
a violation.
Yeah. Despite the bill being having heavily Christian undertones. So yeah, that's what always happens. The Christians promote legislation which they assume is only going to be used by Christians because Christians are the majority, and then someone else shows up and says, "Hey, can I play too?" And they say, "No, it's not for you. It's for us." So, yeah, now we will.
That's one of the benefits of we're just going to call it Baphomet statuing. From this point on.
Yep.
One of the benefits of Baphomet statuing is Christians almost always detest granting these kinds of freedoms to anybody but their own.
Yep.
So
they'd rather take their ball and go home.
Baphomet statuing almost always prevents them from doing dumb shit like this.
Yeah. So yeah, the rest of the article is just that lazy thing that people do where they collect other people's tweets and comment on them.
Mm-hmm. I wonder.
That's beneath me. I wouldn't go through that.
Yeah, never catch yourself doing something similar to that, Rhino. That's cringe.
Okay. You know what? No, I'm gonna give myself more credit than that, because this is one of those things where they literally just write like, another person wrote this. This person wrote that. This person wrote that. I at least comment on the tweets that I'm showing you. But like I have a Google alert for the name Vice Rhino, and anytime it has come up, it's always been like a tweet of mine has been included on one of those lists where they didn't actually say anything. It's just like, here's a thing that someone else said. It's like, great. Thanks for stealing my material then, I guess.
Look, imitation is a form of flattery, or something I've heard other plagiarists say.
It's not like I imitated anyone else's comedy style or anything in this episode like 30 seconds ago.
Hey, look, my channel began as a ripoff of you and Paul.
Yeah, well, I mean, the fact that we share a platform now kind of is a tacit endorsement of that, is it not? Endorsement.
Endorsement?
Fully endorsement this message. Okay. Next up,
I pivoted.
Yeah. This comes to us from Fennec. There we go, Fennec. Now, if you send news items to news@vicerhino.com, Cirrus will show up at your house and let you motorboat his moobs.
What? I haven't consented to any of this.
It's legally binding. Too late.
Legally or otherwise, I will legally bind you.
Fennec, get your face in there.
What?
Nothing.
No. Have mercy.
So anti-voting judges are soft launching a repeal of the 15th Amendment. So yeah, Voting Rights Act was passed in 1965 to, let black people vote and, stop gerrymandering from, well, in theory, stop gerrymandering from being a thing.
It still happens.
Yeah. Now we've got Fennec is putting the email address in the chat. That's the word.
The old email address in just to fuck with them.
I mean, odds are if you send... It's vice.rhino@gmail.com. If you send me something there, I will probably not see it, because I get a lot of junk mail there, because that's the one that I use anytime it's like log in with Google, and then I click on it, and then now I'm on their list to email. So, like, what the fuck ever. I don't know. I don't see anything there, so news@vicerhino.com is where you want to send it if you want me to actually see it.
No, look, let out your inner Republican. It's okay for you to just say that you probably did your civic duty by sending it, but, you don't have to actually have ever done it.
Is also sending me an article is no guarantee that I'll use it. Like, just ask Fennec. How many articles have you sent me that I haven't used? I think there was 1 week where I had 5 articles, most of which were from Fennec, and it was like, well, I do 3 articles, so no, I'm not covering all of these. Anyway,
you get like 1 billion.
So in the years following the Voting Rights Act, the Supreme Court interpreted it very, very conservatively, as they tend to do, and basically said that voters have to prove that the curtailment of their voting rights was intentionally motivated by racism. So it can't just be like, yeah, no, they gerrymandered the fuck out of this place so that black people don't have a voice anymore. You have to prove that the reason they did that was specifically so that black people wouldn't have a voice anymore.
It can't be that in predominantly white areas, as something that awkwardly happened under Kemp, it can't be that in predominantly white areas geographically that there happens to be a lot of voting locations near each other and people have easy access to them. And then in districts that just happen to be a lot more spread out and have a higher density of people who have color, that there's, fewer voting locations per square mile awkwardly. That makes it harder for people to get to if, I don't know, they're poor and can't afford to drive there because they don't have a car or can't afford the Uber. I don't know. Weird little quinky dinks like that.
Yeah. Yeah, but in order to prove it in court, you'd have to have like a letter from them being like, no, we're not going to draw the district in a way that is going to be fair to you because I don't like black people. Or, no, we're not going to open
which
up
is something
extra
that's
voting.
basically going to be completely unprovable.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what they say in this article is like, in 1982, Congress amended Section 2 of the VRA to make it easier to bring and win voting rights cases. So the way they worded it is they said people did not, in fact, need to develop an X-ray capable of identifying whether a legislative body had racist bones. Okay. And since then, regular people have brought and won these cases over 165 times. But in recent years, after the Supreme Court sabotaged other sections of the VRA, voters have relied on Section 2 to challenge practices and policies that resulted in denial or abridgment of voting rights on the basis of race. In November, though, a 3-judge panel of U.S. Court of Appeals in the 8th Circuit held that individuals don't have the right to even bring these cases.
What? So if there's a violation and they know there's a violation, you don't have a right to bitch about it.
Yeah. So
that's cool.
Their argument was that individuals don't have standing in this case. It would be the federal government would have to bring the case.
But individuals are the ones who fucking vote.
Yeah, and also if they're voting for the federal government and the people that are in government now won by making the voting thing crooked, are they going to then bring a case against essentially themselves? No, of course not.
That's the same reason that you don't trust internal reviews of corporations. Who do you think the internal review of the corporation is going to come in favor of? Probably the corpo.
Yeah. So yeah, they denied voters' request for an en banc. I'm not saying
en banc.
En banc. That's one of those things that looks French but is probably Latin because it's legalese. An en banc rehearing, functionally affirming the finding that allowing people to fight racial discrimination in voting was, in fact, a decades-long mistake. Whoopsies. The argument they made... Where is it? I don't like the way this article is written. And I can't blame the person that sent it to me because I actually went to a different source for it, I think. I don't remember. There was one that I went to a different source for. I don't remember which one it was. Okay, so yeah, now we get to 2021 Supreme Court decision. See some familiar numbers here. Brnovich versus Democratic National Committee. The 6 Republican justices voted as a bloc to create new, more challenging standards for people to win Section 2 cases.
What a strange coinkydink.
Yeah, effectively rewriting the actual standards set by Congress as the justices saw fit. Gorsuch and Thomas floated the idea that people shouldn't be able to bring Section 2 cases in the first place. So this is laying the groundwork for what the 8th Circuit has done. He wrote that the court had only ever assumed without deciding that people can sue under Section 2, sort of in the way one might assume that what goes up must come down, and calls it an open question.
Again, this is just another scenario where the Internal Review Board has found that the Internal Review Board is not guilty of the crimes everybody else has told the Internal Review Board that they have done.
Yeah.
It's just this shit again.
In order to even raise this question, Gorsuch had to ignore the court's history of relying on Senate reporting, on a Senate report accompanying the 1982 amendments. So, like, this is the Senate report saying, hey, this is what we mean by these amendments. This is us clarifying it. So the court acknowledged that the state's assertion that the existence of a private right of action under Section 2 has been clearly intended by Congress since 1965. Gorsuch also has to ignore the very text of the act itself, which refers to a proceeding instituted by the Attorney General or an aggrieved person under any statute to enforce
So an aggrieved person is not allowed.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so comically stupid.
Yeah, so it's not clear from the law itself that individuals have the right to sue under this. So, like, if an individual is aggrieved by this, they're not an aggrieved person because we say so.
We used magic logic to get here. We used magical logic.
He used Republican logic. Let's call a spade, Cyrus.
Yeah, same thing.
I mean, yeah, same, different words for the same thing, but, like, don't give him anything to hide behind. Yeah, so anyway, and the Coalition of Voting Rights Group, led by the Arkansas NAACP, filed a Section 2 lawsuit alleging that the state's electoral district maps unlawfully diluted black voting strength. And then Judge Rudofsky admitted that the Arkansas NAACP made a strong merits case, but he dismissed the case anyway because he concluded that the plaintiffs didn't have the right to sue.
But
So
you're probably right, and you should be suing, but you technically don't have the right. Je ne sais quoi.
yeah, it's like you've got an excellent argument, legally speaking, on point, perfect, everything's great, but
It's a day that ends in Y.
You don't
so
have
legally
the
you
right
can't
to
do anything.
yeah. Never mind.
Magic.
Never mind that you literally are the aggrieved person that it's talking about in the law.
Ay, oy, oy. Don't expect the people who hold the keys to the kingdom to let you in. Ever.
Yeah, and he waved away the statute's explicit reference to aggrieved voters' ability to bring cases under the statutes that enforce the Constitution by saying that the Voting Rights Act is not a statute that enforces the Constitution.
But wait.
So, the Voting Rights Act, the thing that basically acted as a de facto amendment to the Constitution and the 15th
It's so
Amendment.
that we can elect our constitutional representatives, but it's not in... It has nothing to do with the Constitution. Then what the fuck are the lawmakers? Then why do we even call certain laws constitutional or not if one has no bearing on the other? What?
Yeah, and the Voting Rights Act is not a statute that enforces the Constitution. Like the 15th Amendment is the right to vote. Essentially,
it's an amendment to the Constitution.
To the Constitution. Well, so it's not the Voting Rights Act is not the 15th Amendment. It's its own piece of legislation, but it is basically strengthening the 15th Amendment. So it's legislation that directly applies to the Constitution and how the Constitution works. So
God.
Yeah, to say that it's not something that is meant to enforce the Constitution is like, what the fuck?
Then what the fuck is the point of it? What is it here for? What are we doing?
So Rudofsky decided that Section 2 can be enforced by the federal government or it can't be enforced at all. So the only people that can sue are the people who are elected in these crooked elections.
So the only people that can sue...
To borrow a turn of phrase from the Republicans.
So the only people allowed to sue are the ones least likely to try to sue because they already have the keys to the kingdom.
Yeah, the only ones who are able to sue are the ones who are stand to gain the most from not suing.
Not suing. Which means you need literally the world's most virtuous politician, which is an oxymoron in the first place. I'm sorry.
Yeah, they say relying solely on federal enforcement of the VRA is like trying to survive a tidal wave in a rinky-dink rowboat. The government alone doesn't have the resources to identify and litigate every instance of voter discrimination as it happens. So that's another point, because there's so many instances where the maps are just drawn in completely unfair ways, and Congress just doesn't have the resources to investigate all of them. And then we get to even if it could, it might not want to, depending on who is in charge. Now, this is where this writing kind of gets a little bit more partisan than it is. It says making enforcement depending on the federal government alone would effectively make the VRA optional when Republicans are in the White House. I mean, yeah, they're the ones who would be most blatant about it, but the Democrats aren't squeaky clean. You know that they wouldn't sue themselves for having an unfair district.
Not to mention, these are the same Democrats
the Democrats would be more likely to draw a fair district in the first place, but they're not going to sue if somebody thinks that it's not fair.
Yeah. I'm sorry, but I'm not about to be one of the people that says the Democrats are as crooked as the Republicans or as evil, but I am not going to say that they are clean, and I will certainly say that these are the same fuckers that didn't codify Roe. So
yeah.
I'm sorry, but these people are also failures to their constituents.
So yeah, the Eighth Circuit's decision to deny en banc rehearing means that tens of millions of voters, I'm just going to pronounce it different every time I say it, Tens of
And whoop.
maybe I'll hit the correct pronunciation if I do it differently every time.
And whoop.
It means that tens of millions of voters under the circuit's jurisdiction in Arkansas, Iowa, Minnesota, Missouri, Nebraska, North Dakota, and South Dakota have no way of protecting their own voting rights. These are rights so foundational to self-government and citizenship that they should not depend solely on the discretion or availability of the government's agents for protection.
It is. So this is starting to feel very Bethesda. This is starting to feel very, these are all features, not bugs. They look like bugs, don't get me wrong. They look like problems, but they keep the people in power that we want in power. So, I mean, really, can they be seen as bugs?
Yeah. And then you got stuff like in Arizona, they used a ballot initiative to limit the impact of money in politics, and the Supreme Court turned around and said, no, we like having corrupt money in politics. And then when Congress said that states that have a history of discriminating, of putting discriminatory voting laws on, anytime they start a new voting law, let's have them run that past the Justice Department first to make sure it's not discriminatory. Supreme Court said they couldn't do that.
So, God, I love living in America. It's so fucky.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's that. Say goodbye to the 15th Amendment. Maybe not, like it's not being repealed anytime soon, but it's certainly had its teeth removed.
We're doing so well as a country. We're doing so well. It's just great, don't you know?
It's fantastic.
I've never felt concerned about being an American citizen before in my life. No, never. Not even once. I'm not a good liar.
So don't go into politics?
I don't want to.
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie. I feel like the company I would keep would suck ass.
Speaking of sucking ass,
What?
Alexander the Gay.
Oh, I saw this.
Okay, so this was beautiful. This was so mwah. I couldn't have planned this out better myself. End wokeness. Just a complete trash account. Says Netflix made a new documentary about Alexander the Great. Within the first 8 minutes, they turned him gay.
He was gay, though. He was known specifically.
No, sirs, he wasn't gay. He was bi. Actually, probably pan, really, if you think about it. Yeah, no, that was that's one of the things that almost everybody knows about Alexander the Great. This is not even.
He mourned his dead lover. That's a thing.
This isn't even one of those things. If you look up, you search for was Walt Whitman gay? Yes, absolutely. Walt Whitman was gay, but when looking at the historians talking about it, they think, oh, well, yeah, no, he never married anybody, and he lived with a man for the last 20 years of his life. But, we don't have any explicit confirmation that they were in a romantic relationship. They could have just been friends or whatever. You get stuff
they
like
were
that.
Roommates.
It's no, Walt Whitman was fucking gay. But the historians are very careful not to be explicit about it, but when you look it up for Alexander the Great, it's no, he was fucking gay. Everybody knows he was gay. He didn't hide it. It's just a thing. Or not gay, but bi. He had male and female lovers at various points in his career. I don't remember what this was in reference to. It says the French rolled out their guillotines for far less. I'm going to say that's with reference to the last news item, not with Alexander.
I'm just gonna quote Kaiba from Yu-Gi-Oh! The Abridged series. Of course Pegasus was a man's man. He was that man's man and that man's man. He belonged to many men.
Yeah. So End Wokeness tweets this out saying they turned him gay with the screenshots. And then someone here, they got the community notes that say it's commonly accepted among scholars that Alexander not only took part in aromantic sexual relationships with other men, but was in fact bisexual and maintained romantic relationships with men and women throughout his life. Now, what's funny, my personal experience with this when I retweeted this and was oh, the snowflakes are really freaking out when they find out that their masculine icons like to suck a dick. someone replied to me with like, "Oh well, I didn't need to see porn in the first 8 minutes of what's supposed to be a serious documentary or whatever." Have you watched it?
Is it? I haven't watched it at all.
So I actually, if I knew how to grab stuff from Netflix, because they don't allow screen, like they have a screen recording blocking thing, and I didn't want to do that stupid thing where you like record the screen with your phone. But if they didn't block that, and if it wouldn't have taken like more effort than it's worth to do that, I actually would have played the entire clip right now, because it is so tame that YouTube would not have a problem with it. It's just two topless dudes who kiss a bit. That's it.
If that's
porn, it is very heavily implied that they are naked while they're doing it, but you never see anything below the waist.
If that's porn to you, then you are weak. It's like, so fun thing about that. Also, how's it going, Trey? Sometimes you got to kiss the homies though. So on my Magic channel, of course, there's people who are new and don't know my channel's lore, haven't been here for years. They come in, they discover me through that. And there's a lot of people who come in and they just go, I can't with this guy who sounds like a guy, dresses like a girl in a pink slime. I can't. And every single time.
What the fuck is Dryer Coon?
So every single time I just respond to one of those comments with, it's not my fault, you're weak.
Yeah, I've seen a few of your tweets about that. But yeah, so he retweeted that again, being like, vote not helpful, irrelevant on that community note. Shoving in a gay scene within the first 8 minutes is pathetic, regardless of what modern historians are speculating. Like,
so if modern historians speculate that he was gay or bi, then putting in a scene that confirms that, which would be historically accurate,
in a historical documentary,
is bad.
But also,
question mark?
They were speaking of, like, this was during Alexander's exile while he was a young man, and they were speaking about his close companions that he had while he was in exile as a young man. And they made a point at that point, like, the ancient Greeks didn't think about sexuality the way we did. It's like, sex is just sex. If you have sex with someone, that is just having sex with someone. That doesn't mean you're homosexual or heterosexual or bisexual. It's just someone that you wanted to have sex with.
Yeah.
But and that
the labels only matter as much as you let them.
That's just what they were talking about, because that's the way ancient Greek culture was. And so they had a scene showing two guys kissing. They didn't even have sex. Sex was not even implied in that scene. But
these people are weak.
Yeah, no.
These are people who will never. They will never kiss the homies goodnight. As is proper.
I mean, not gonna lie, I probably wouldn't kiss the homies goodnight. Not because I'm
weakness.
Not because I'm afraid to, just because I don't want to. I probably would do it now just to prove a point. I can be gay if you want me to. I'm not gay, but watch me suck this dick. Ugh.
Just sitting there, if you want me. Jesus Christ.
I will suck the dick in the most straight way possible.
The dick will be straight.
Wearing a collar. Full circle, motherfuckers. Right back to the priest story.
Yep.
Xpastor.com. Dicks with collars. Okay. Oh, speaking of ex-pastors, Patrick Nev says, the Catholic Church is anti-science. The Catholic Church invented science. Galileo has entered the chat.
Okay, but, I mean, he hasn't entered the chat. He kind of rolled away.
Speaking of the ancient
part
Greeks...
of him rolled away, really.
Speaking of the ancient Greeks, were they Catholic?
Not to my knowledge.
Also, like...
Kind of feel like they were polytheistic.
Because, like, the ancient Greeks invented a lot of, like, our conceptualizations of science and how science works or whatever, but, like, the ancient Chinese did a whole fucking lot of scientific stuff, too.
So what these people tend to do is they conflate the Catholic Church funding a lot of European education. and saying that was them inventing science. That was them inventing modern day education. Like, no, they
inherited
bankrolled it.
After they inherited it from the ancient Greeks and then got the math from the ancient Muslims.
Yep.
Like,
Purple Rhymes with Orange says, I don't think the worshippers of Zeus were Catholic.
Probably not. Oh, yeah. Chicago One Ray says, Fox News is backing Nikki Haley, so they won't show how many people support Trump in South Carolina. So you know what to do. I don't know.
God,
I don't know what they mean by you know
people
what to
fight
do.
each other.
Well, so the funny thing is, I saw this tweet on the same day that I've promoted this podcast on here before. It's called Decoding Fox News. If you want to know what's going on Fox News, she watches like hours and hours and hours of Fox News every week, and then she puts together a podcast where she like talks about the ridiculous things that they have talked about and compares it to things like NPR or CNN or whatnot, and here's the stories that you would have missed if Fox News was your only news diet. And they were talking about Hunter's laptop. Well, everybody else was talking about this actual like real serious thing in the world that people should probably be informed about. And she released a bonus episode last week that was entirely segments where Fox News was viciously turning against Nikki Haley to favor Donald Trump. It was just clips of them like before Nikki Haley lost, but like before voting even began in New Hampshire, they were out there being like, oh, Nikki Haley's losing this one, so it's Trump now. They explicitly said, like, one of them, I don't remember the exact quote, but this is very, very close to the exact quote, said Republicans, the Republican Party is now the party of Trump. It's like, but they're saying that Fox supports Nikki Haley?
Look, they don't need integrity. They just need to, what was that? Back the winning team, whatever that is.
Yeah.
Which, changes pretty frequently.
Nikki Haley was never on the winning team. But
they want to pretend.
That was another thing that they were saying on Fox. They were criticizing her for not backing out of the race because they were pointing out that like her continuing to be in the race, the only thing this can do is hurt Trump and strengthen the Democrats. So they were begging her to drop out of the race and just concede to Trump. And yet Fox is backing Nikki Haley? No, they're fucking not. But yeah,
this is a
Decoding Fox News. Excellent podcast.
A good idea to diversify your news input if you want to know what's going on in the world.
Yeah. And also you don't have to watch Fox News. You can just listen to Decoding Fox News because, yeah.
You'll get all the information, but with a filter.
Yep. Every now and then one of her cats meows in the background.
Jessica says ground news / Vice Rhino.
Yeah, I don't know if that code is still active. I think they've got another sponsor spot with me coming up this month at some point. So there will be another code you can use for that. Let's see. This person says, atheists think we are animals. Animals kill. Animals eat their own. Animals attack those who offend them. Atheism doesn't offer anything for a civilized society.
So all human beings have done all of those things. So the entirety of life.
Not all human beings have done. I have never eaten another human being.
No. So if we're saying
I know what you meant.
More in that we destroy our own because not all animals are cannibalistic either.
I took that to be cannibalism,
and I took that personally.
I'm like, who have you eaten, Cirrus?
My girlfriend. I mean, what? You asked.
Did it have a collar on it?
She actually was wearing a collar the day that we saw each other in real life for the first time. So she had a collar on in the airport.
I'm assuming that that's not a pastor's collar.
You can assume.
Okay. Maybe tell Saki to send us news items at news@vicerandom.com and I'll find something good that you have to do for her.
Wingcaster says, I bet Cirrus has unprotected hand holding. Oh, I did that in public too. It was some nasty hand holding.
Yeah, hand holding can get pretty nasty.
Hey, hand holding gets you pregnant, okay?
If you do it right.
If you hold the right hands.
Your hand was sticky. It's like, can I get pregnant from the toilet seat?
Like the origin of the phrase "son of a gun."
I don't know that. Do I want to know that? Is it racist?
No,
because I feel like most phrases have racist origins.
No, whether or not this origin is accurate, it was the one I was told growing up, which was that a person shot somebody through the nutsack and then it carried through to another person, impregnating them, and then they had the person who got a bullet vasectomy's kids, basically, and so that person was literally a son of a gun.
I don't think that is
I don't think it
possible.
happened either. This feels like one of those things that I was told as a child that was entirely fabricated, but I was a dumb kid, so I was like, yeah, that tracks.
Yeah. Went through the spermy thing and ended up in the eggy thing. Therefore,
my chat is saying that it was actually a Civil War era legend, and Mythbusters actually tested it.
Yeah, no, Fennec the Rabbit is in my chat saying they tested this on Mythbusters. It did not work, and everyone would die. I want to know how they tested it. How does one test that? I have an episode of Mythbusters to watch now.
You're just sitting there with like an entire pill bottle of Plan B. Like, okay, look, we're gonna try this a few times. We've got a waiver and we've got a bottle of Plan B. We have everything we need to make this work.
Except guys willing to get their nuts shot off. Or I guess
waivers. We have a waiver for that.
I mean, I guess you could like shoot it through a vial of semen or something. But that seems like it's not fair to actually shoot a. But I mean that would track with how things usually go in the world. Like, oh no, the guys couldn't handle it, so they just had a vial. Okay, whatever. This took us down a rabbit trail that is unacceptable. Daily Christian Tweets says, intolerance towards Christians in the West has risen sharply. According to the Family Research Council, which I will bet $100 right now, that's a hate group, several countries are taking authoritarian measures against Christians simply trying to live out their faith.
What do those authoritarian measures look like?
I'm going to bet that it's stuff like you can't proselytize to school children when you're a public school teacher.
Or things like you can't sit there and say the gays are going to all die.
Or you have to allow the minister of Satan to volunteer at the school, just like you allow ministers of Christianity to volunteer at the school if you're going to pass that law.
Oh, won't somebody rid me of this meddlesome priest? I mean, what? Huh? What?
Please pray for the persecuted church. Okay, I pray that you guys just finally fucking just
go
stop.
under?
Yeah. Go under is the word. I was looking for a way to suggest organizational demise without making it sound like I was suggesting a person die.
Hey, go under can also mean, inappropriate handholding.
Go 6 feet under. Oh, what?
We went 2 different areas there, man. I was trying to go with more of the jokes from before, and you're just like, kill them all.
I thought that's where you were going to go with it. Oh.
No, that was not the plan.
Oh, did you see this one? It's Ian Miles Chong.
Oh, yes, I did. So I had to actually mute that thread because I went semi-viral when I responded to that. I had Dark Matter respond to it. That felt good. But I had to mute that one.
What'd you say?
Actually, look, I can probably find that fairly easily.
While you look it up, I'm going to...
While you're doing that.
So Ian Miles Chong says, when given pictures of thirst traps, AI imagines what could have been if they've been raised by strong fathers. So let's get a zoom in on the strong father picture. So if you were raised by a strong father, you could go...
get 11 toes.
You could go from being able to enjoy what looks like a nice, expensive scotch... while having a gorgeous thick with 2 C's bottom, to having too many toes, too many arms, a head that's significantly too large for your body, and a bunch of like mutant babies.
How did the head even get so large on this? Like it's like an adult head gets pasted on a child's body.
It's not that the head got large, it's that they left the head alone and it just gave her the wrong proportions. It took her boobs
also,
away.
my Twitter completely broke. So I have to refresh it a little bit.
Okay.
There we go. What date was Ian's thing on?
February 2nd.
February 2nd. All right, let me scroll down to that. Because
Yeah.
There we go. So I said, weren't these the chuckle thugs who got angry at studios making video game women wear less revealing clothes?
I saw that, yeah.
Yep. And then Dark Matter's response to it was something less commented on is how strong fathers like to replace your plants with different types of plants.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even notice that.
Yeah. It's kind of amazing. Like, I didn't notice that at all until he pointed that out.
The building in the background has been replaced by an apartment building, too.
Inane Dragon said, where does the AI keep finding extra fingers? John Hammond said, the implication of women as breeders and the weird double foot aside. The perspective's all fucked up. She's just sitting in midair in that awkward position while the kid behind her is several feet behind her. There's a lot going on with this.
Yeah.
I got 47 retweets on that, and a good chunk of them were people like, you can't prove to me that those are the same people. Not the people in the image, but the people who got mad at game studios and then also have this like problem with people posting thirst traps.
Yeah.
It's like you can't prove those are the same people. Ian Miles Chung is one of those people.
Yeah.
I can prove it's the same people because I'm looking at him.
It's the same person.
Like, it's him, it's Sargon of Akkad, because Sargon was one of the ones that was, like, super against changing the designs of characters. And there's only a handful of characters that I'm okay with, like, I would rather them keep the sexualized designs.
Also, so I feel like, it would take being a strong father to raise a strong woman who is able to be independent and make her own choices
and sip wine.
And I'm pretty sure that's scotch or whiskey of some kind.
Look, you're having sandwich trauma.
Yeah. Indeed. Lauren Southern.
No, not this wench.
I skipped Wendell. So we got enough of him on Monday. Lauren Southern says, you shouldn't be allowed SSRIs until you've tried going to the gym twice a week. What if you need the SSRIs to get to the gym?
So I forgot to post the stuff about me going to the gym today, actually, but I've been posting my gym stuff recently. I hadn't been doing it before, but I finally started doing the, day 1, day 2, day 3, so that I could keep a track of, hey, I missed going to the gym these few days, and hey, this is my progress. I've been going more than twice a week. It's been more like 5 days a week. And Lauren, I woke up with the worst case of depression twice in these last few weeks. Like, the gym hasn't fixed my depression. Don't get me wrong. I feel better after going to the gym and working out because scientifically it reduces endorphins along with lactic acid. Like, I feel better afterwards, but it didn't erase my depression. That's not going anywhere. Dark
Falcon is asking what an SSRI is. Antidepressant medication, basically.
Yep. So like in my life, my well is fixed. I'm able to cook my own food again. I made patty melts last night, and they were amazing.
You're going to be fixing other people's wells soon?
No, I didn't agree to that. But like, I have a loving partner who lives in my house with me and is wonderful. I've been going to the gym. I have a second channel that's been just exploding in terms of its growth and how well it's doing. I have everything going right for me right now outside of personal finances. Guess what? I still woke up with massive depression.
Because that's a thing that happens.
That's how depression works.
Sometimes you need medication for that shit.
So weird.
You should talk to your doctor about that, not Lauren Southern.
You talk to your doctor, not the person who got in a boat and tried to stop immigrants from getting to London.
Is that her?
Yeah.
Okay, well, she was the last tweet, so she was She was the last twit.
She was the twitted of tweets.
My partner just from the peanut gallery over there said, "Twat." She's still ostensibly trying to work, but I feel like I'm being distracting.
Twat tweets.
Twat tweets. The tweets have twatted. The twats have twoted.
Jeez.
Oh, yeah, apparently, Terran Ambassador calls their SSRIs the daily dose of happy, and now Fennec is saying, I should put smiley face stickers on my pill bottle.
This is your daily dose of happy.
Yeah. Go for it.
I
think I forgot to take my ADHD meds today.
I probably still need medication, but I don't want to get on Klonopin again. That was not fun.
Well, I'm on Vyvanse, which in the States y'all just got the generic version, but it's taking a little bit longer to get through the Canadian red tape.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I know there's a generic version coming. It's right around the corner, but it's not there yet. So now I'm still paying like $100 a month for it. Michael DeCino says, good show. Any chance of seeing the fan art of Paul and you? It's just Paul at the moment, the one with the thick thighs. Can we show that? Do I have permission to show that?
Everything in my fan art section is assumed that it will always be shown publicly if it's not in the NSFW area. So,
okay, send it over.
Yes, you can.
Send it over.
It's on WhatsApp.
It's on WhatsApp. Yeah, but you didn't save the picture on WhatsApp. You took a screenshot.
Fine, we'll do it this way. I'll go get the picture. I go into my fan art section where all of the cursed shit resides sometimes.
Oh, Dr. Don Hogue says, next Monday is my autism and ADHD evaluation, only 44 years too late. Good luck with that. Better late than never. And for me, when I was diagnosed, I was diagnosed late as well. It was just like within the last 2 years, I think. And it was comforting to like know that the reason I'm having difficulty with these things that are just like normal for everybody all the time, but like I struggle with them. It's like, oh, there's a reason for that, and there are things that I can do about that. That was it was comforting.
We actually had a whole discussion on my my channel before we started like doing any videos, just about how important diagnosing is when it comes to any of these things. And it's like, there's a few valid reasons not to diagnose. Like, you want to immigrate to somewhere like New Zealand that doesn't let people with autism immigrate there.
What?
Like, yeah.
That
yeah
is yikes as fuck.
It's weird. It's very strange. So like there's some reasons that someone would only stick to self-diagnosis, but most of the time you should just get diagnosed.
Okay. Apologia fan art.
Yep, and just looking it up again to make sure that I'm not speaking out of my butt. New Zealand effectively prohibits the immigration of autistic people. The Australia's health criteria have prompted criticism about its immigration policies, and they forbid the immigration of people who would be exceptionally costly for the nation's health service, care, or social services. So yeah, there you go.
That's fucked up.
It is, just a bit.
Okay, well, that's it for our stream. Our stream was also a bit fucked up today.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, God help you.
At least we didn't throw dead babies down the watering hole.
You fucking interrupted my sign-off line to make a dead baby joke.